This video presents the 15 best European basketball players of all time, celebrating their remarkable achievements and contributions to the NBA. It emphasizes how these legends, including champions like Dirk Nowitzki, MVPs like Nikola Jokic, and trailblazers like Arvydas Sabonis, have influenced the league with their unique skills and international flair. 1. Dirk Nowitzki. The German player came to the NBA in the late 1990s when there was still some skepticism in the American League about European players. They were considered too soft and not ready enough for the physicality of NBA players. Went to young Luka Doncic. For his impact on the league and the Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki absolutely deserves to be named the best European basketball player of all time. 2. Nikola Jokic. Usually, there is not much focus on players who are chosen with the number 41 pick in the draft. When the Nuggets selected Jokic in the 2014 draft, over the years, the Serbian player has established himself as the greatest second-round pick in NBA history and is already regarded as one of the best centers of all time. 3-time league MVP, 6-time All-Star, 4 times to the All-NBA first team, and simply the best player in Denver Nuggets history, with all due respect to Carmelo Anthony. In 2023, he won his first NBA title, reacting as more or less everyone expected, breathing a sigh of relief and asking to be able to return home to Serbia to be near his horses. It is precisely this aspect of Jokic's personality that makes him even more impressive. Unlike many other superstars of the past, who have built around them an aura of genuine obsession with basketball, Jokic has instead always balanced his love for basketball with that for a normal life, in which he prioritizes his family and his horses. Even this season, despite the Nuggets' struggles so far, Jokic is proving that he is simply the best player in the world. In every game, the Serbian center seems capable of extraordinary feats, and his numbers continue to be sensational. It would take a whole book to mention all the records Jokic has broken since he entered the NBA. To us it is enough to say that we are dealing with a true phenomenon of this sport. 3. Giannis Antetokounmpo. The path that led Giannis Antetokounmpo to be one of the best players in the NBA and one of the best European players ever is truly unique. Born in Greece to Nigerian parents without a work permit, until the age of 18, Antetokounmpo had neither Greek nor Nigerian citizenship, which made it impossible for him to leave the country. During his childhood, he and his siblings did all kinds of odd jobs to help bring money into the house. After a couple of seasons in the Greek lower categories, Antetokounmpo showed up at the 2013 draft as something of a mystery object, a player with certainly intriguing potential but about whom many knew little or nothing. Within a few seasons, however, everyone in the NBA realized that Antetokounmpo's potential was extraordinary. A player endowed with uncommon athleticism and strength is always ready to attack the basket and get the counterattack going whenever there is a chance. Along with its growth, the Milwaukee Bucks also slowly became a major force in the Eastern Conference, eventually winning the NBA title in 2021. Meanwhile, Giannis had already won the MVP title twice, in 2019 and 2020, and was elected MVP of the Finals in 2021. At 30 years old and at the peak of his career, Antetokounmpo is now looking for his second NBA title and first medal with the Greek national team, which would further solidify his place among the greatest European players ever. 4. Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol was by far one of the most complete big men in the recent history of the game. A true basketball scientist, the Catalan player played a key role in the successes of Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant's Lakers. Bryant himself stated several times that even digging into the past, it would be very difficult to find a player with a skill set similar to Gasol's. The Catalan center, in fact, was a super effective scorer in the low post, an excellent passer, a great shot blocker, and generally a player of superior basketball intelligence. A 2-time NBA champion, 6-time All-Star, one of 4 players in NBA history to reach at least 20,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 3,500 assists, and 1,500 blocks, Gasol's numbers tell only part of his greatness. And just think, Pau initially didn't even want to be a basketball player, he had enrolled in college to study medicine. An absolutely incredible human being, even before he was a player. 5. Tony Parker. Tony Parker's NBA career has been truly superlative, especially considering that after 10 minutes of his first pre-draft workout with the San Antonio Spurs, Coach Popovich was ready to send him packing because he didn't think he was tough enough. The Spurs coach later had to reconsider because the French player has always been able to go far beyond what were his limits. And that is perhaps what makes Parker's career so impressive. The French point guard was certainly not a great defender and was not an excellent shooter, especially from three-point range, but his combination of speed, change of pace, game vision, and leadership made him one of the best point guards of the 2000s. With the Spurs, Parker won 4 NBA titles, was MVP of the 2007 Finals, was selected 6 times to the All-Star Game, and had his number 9 retired by the Texas franchise. 6. Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic's career has been incredibly precocious. The talented Slovenian made his first team debut with Real Madrid when he was just 16 and, within just under 2 years, became the team's star, leading the Blancos to a EuroLeague victory. At 25, Doncic has already won Eurobasket, EuroLeague, Rookie of the Year, and NBA's top scorer titles, is the undisputed star of the Dallas Mavericks, and is generally one of the NBA's top 10 players. Having reached this point in his career, the only thing he lacks is an NBA ring. Despite some character limitations that lead him to excessive protests against referees, Doncic is a simply extraordinary player, and I am sure that when his career is over, the list of trophies won will be much longer than it is now. 7. Drazen Petrovic. Talking about Drazen Petrovic is always extremely difficult, not only because we are talking about a player who literally dominated European basketball for several years, becoming an absolute icon of the movement, but also because his tragic death at only 28 years of age is still extremely difficult for all fans to accept. When Petrovic arrived in the NBA at age 25, when he had already won everything there was to win in Europe, the start in the United States was very difficult for him. Although Portland wanted him badly, his minutes in Oregon were always very limited, and the player became increasingly frustrated with the situation until he was traded to the New Jersey Nets in 1991. With the Nets, Petrovic quickly became a key player on a team that began to become a stable presence in the playoffs, although it never became a real contender. During his seasons with the Nets, it was clear that Petrovic could become a real force in the NBA with an increased role. Unfortunately, his death at only 28 years old prevented us from seeing how high he could have gone in the NBA. This does not detract, however, from the fact that his legacy is among the most important ever left in the history of European basketball. 8. Marc Gasol. Few players could have also a 3-time All-Star during his years in Memphis. However, Marc won his only NBA title with the Toronto Raptors, where he moved in 2019 and became the perfect defensive anchor of a team where Kawhi Leonard was the absolute star. When you think of the best European big men in the history of the game, it is impossible to keep out Marc Gasol. 9. Predrag Stojakovic. In the early 2000s, one of the most fun teams to follow in the NBA was definitely the Sacramento Kings. One of the key elements of that team was Predrag Stojakovic, who, by far, was one of the best shooters in recent NBA history. During those years at the Kings, Stojakovic became an iconic player for European fans and for fans in Sacramento, where he remained an extremely popular figure even after his career ended. Stojakovic then managed to win his only NBA title when his career was coming to an end, thanks to his experience with the Dallas Mavericks, culminating in a series of excellent performances in the playoffs. During his NBA career, Stojakovic was a 3-time All-Star and twice won the three-point shooting contest at the All-Star Game. 10. Arvydas Sabonis. We have discussed the son, and now it is time to discuss the father, one of the legends of European basketball. Arvydas Sabonis' career speaks for itself, but his time in the NBA remains one of the greatest what-ifs in the game's recent history. The Lithuanian player arrived in the NBA when he was already 31 years old and had suffered many injuries that greatly limited his mobility. Despite these problems, the Trail Blazers still decided to bet on him and make him one of the franchise's key players in the following years. During Sabonis' time in Portland, the Trail Blazers were consistent contenders in the West, reaching the conference finals twice but failing to reach the NBA Finals. His incredible game vision and ability to shoot effectively from a distance, at a time when most big men played only close to the basket, made him a true revolutionary of the game. Even today, many American journalists believe that if Sabonis had arrived in the United States at the peak of his career, Portland could have won at least a couple of NBA titles. 11. Toni Kukoc. Toni Kukoc was by far one of the most talented European players ever. An incredibly versatile scorer, a passer of the highest order, and a perfect complement to the Chicago Bulls superstars of those years, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Arriving in the NBA in 1993 after a long courtship with the Bulls, Kukoc won 3 NBA titles with the Chicago franchise and the 6th Man of the Year title in 1996. The player also remained in Chicago immediately after Bulls management began a rebuild by waiving Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan, making him the team's first offensive option. Later, he was also traded. Kukoc ended his NBA career with the Milwaukee Bucks, with whom he played from 2002 to 2006. Today, he serves as an advisor to the Bulls ownership. Not only is Kukoc one of the best European basketball players of all time, but he's also among the most underrated in NBA history. 12. Vlade Divac. Here we are with another true legend of European basketball. Vlade Divac was among the first European players to join the NBA in the late 1980s and one of the first who made a significant impact in the American League. Thanks to his passing qualities, Divac soon became a staple of the Los Angeles Lakers. He later moved to Sacramento to become one of the greatest Kings player ever. Although he never won an NBA title during his career, his legacy is unquestionable. Divac was the first European player to play more than 1,000 games in the league and is also one of 7 players in NBA history to have collected at least 13,000 points, 9,000 rebounds, 3,000 assists, and 1,500 blocks. Joining him on that list are the likes of Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Pau Gasol. 13. Rudy Gobert. The French center has been a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, a 3-time All-Star, and a 7-time member of the NBA's All-Defensive First Team. Put very clearly, Gobert is one of the best defensive players in NBA history, even though he is arguably the most hated player in the league. His lower ranking is not dictated by this. More than anything else, by his tendency to fail to maintain in the playoffs what good he produced during the regular season, where he often, especially on offense, struggled to make a real impact for his team. This does not detract from the fact that Gobert is one of the best NBA European players of his generation and is destined to add even more to his haul of awards and accolades in the coming years. Not to mention that even with the French national team, Gobert has already achieved very important victories, including 2 silver medals at the Olympics, 2 bronze medals at the FIBA World Cup, and a silver and a bronze at Eurobasket. 14. Detlef Schrempf. Younger readers will most likely not be very familiar with Detlef Schrempf, considering that the German player began his NBA career in the mid-1980s. But Schrempf had a very high-level NBA career. He was voted 6th Man of the Year 2 years in a row, 1991 and 1992, and in the 1992-93 season, he was the only NBA player to finish the year among the top 25 players in points, rebounds, and assists. He was selected 3 times to the All-Star Game and reached an NBA Final in 1996 with the Seattle Supersonics, losing to Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. One of the best 3-point shooters of that period, Schrempf was a true pioneer for German basketball, paving the way for other players who came to the league in later years, such as Dirk Nowitzki and Dennis Schroeder. His figure was so iconic in the Seattle area that even the Band of Horses, one of the biggest indie rock bands in the USA, originally from Seattle, named one of their songs after him. 15. Domantas Sabonis. The son of one of the legends of European basketball. Although Domantas is still in the midst of his NBA career, at 28 years old, he has already racked up very impressive numbers for a player who, at the beginning of his career, was not necessarily considered a safe choice. A big man with point guard hands, Domantas, especially after his move to Sacramento Kings, has become one of the most effective players in the NBA and a true triple-double machine. On November 6, he became the first player in NBA history to finish a game with a triple-double without committing a foul, missing a shot, or having a turnover.